My official prediction is going to be something a little bit off the wall.
I like it.
My official prediction is that
Welcome back to the Birding Hammer Podcast. I'm Mark Izzo, joined as always by your other host, Dillon O'Brien. And on this episode, we're going to be getting into Money in the Bank predictions. But before that, we are coming off of two crazy episodes of WWE television, one being Monday Night Raw, the other being Friday Night SmackDown, because the Wyatt Six killed people to death. We got a great segment on last week's episode of Monday Night Raw with Uncle Howdy and Bo Wyatt talking to themselves. That was really, really good. If you haven't seen that for some reason, definitely you should go back and watch it because it was really, really good. Isn't that right, Dillon?
it was incredible, man. Like, just immediately getting into the how did you feel when your brother died, and do you feel like you're exploiting your brother's death and his legacy and stuff, and immediately addressing kind of some things that certain people were saying, but Bo does such a good job at in the thing. Oh God, it's amazing, dude. It's like, it's so good. It's cinema.
It's going to be awesome.
It's cinema, as they say, and it is going to be. It's going to lead to some incredible things. I'm really hoping. I think it would be super cool if we got interviews with like all the other members of the Wyatt Six.
I could see them doing that.
Yeah, like as like their normal people.
Yeah.
Whether they're getting interviewed by their character or if they're getting interviewed by Uncle Howdy. Either way, I think it'd work.
Yeah, that story, everything with that, it's going to be sick. Right now, they're going after Master Gable, it seems like. They could potentially be going after more people in the future. It's going to be really, really awesome. And WWE is a big 1-2 punch for SmackDown and Raw. Obviously, Raw is being the Wyatt Six, and on SmackDown, we got the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu. The Bloodline story on SmackDown. You got the Wyatt Six story on Monday Night Raw. Man, was I excited after seeing Jacob Fatu debut and absolutely wreak havoc upon anybody in that ring. It was truly, truly incredible.
Yeah, I could not be more excited about the debut of Jacob Fatu. This guy is incredible. Like, this guy is the best wrestler in the Bloodline. He's so good at what he does. He can go on the mic if they want to let him go. He can go in the ring. We saw him wrestle in person at MLW. And the minute we saw him, perform, we were like, how is this guy not in the WWE? He had like an unorthodox path to get here. He went through some troubles, but he fought his way back and earned a shot back in the world of wrestling, and he has more than earned his chance in the WWE, and I think he's going to make the best of it, because first and foremost, he looks like he's in easily the best shape of his life. He's the best. He didn't look this good on the indies. Like, he's obviously slimmed down and he's obviously put on some muscle, so he looks so good. And he is capable of some things in the ring that are just insane. Like, he's built like Umaga and moves better than an Uso is what I always say about him, because he's incredible, man. Like, the people who are not familiar with Jacob Fatu are in for a really, really special treat. And we're all in for a special treat because as wrestling fans, now that he's on WWE programming, we get to watch him every single week. And we're going to get our first taste of in-ring action pretty much right away. I don't know if he's going to wrestle on SmackDown, but he is going to wrestle at Money in the Bank, which is going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Let's get into this card. I mean, that's probably be a good match to start it off with, to be honest. The 6-man tag.
Yeah, we didn't see this coming, although we probably should have.
Yeah. So we got a 6-man tag. The Bloodline 2.0, as some say. Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu are taking on your WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody Rhodes, the Viper, Randy Orton, and, of course, KO, the prize fighter, Kevin Owens. 6-man tag. A lot of people just immediately went to who is going to be the 4th person for like an 8-man tag. It seems as if Tonga Loa is just not a part of this. Just not a part of this match, which is okay. But thank God we got Jacob Fatu in this match, getting him in there right off the rip. And Mark, how do you think this goes? How do you think this match goes?
Well, I'll tell you how it should go, and that should be with the Bloodline coming out strong and coming out on top. And I think that's what's going to happen. You know, this is kind of the first time we're getting this new Bloodline group working together officially as a whole in a match, and they need to come out with a win. They need a big win here because you've got Kevin Owens, you've got Randy Orton, you've got the WWE champion Cody Rhodes as your opponents. Beating those guys will do a lot for the new Bloodline and their sort of reputation and sort of where they kind of fit in and their threat level. So I do think that Bloodline's going to reign supreme here. I could see a world where Tonga gets involved and then Sami comes to the aid of Cody, Randy, and KO to kind of even the odds. But I think that kind of depends on how his match with Bron goes, because there is, which we'll get into that in a little bit, but if like he gets the shit kicked out of him against Bron, then maybe he won't get involved. But we'll obviously touch on that in a little bit. But yeah, Bloodline's coming out on top here. There's no way they can afford a loss, and if they do, I will be very, very upset. Dillon, let me ask you this before you get into your predictions on this: is Roman Reigns coming back in this match?
No, I would say no. Roman Reigns is not returning until SummerSlam, I'd say.
Okay, and what do you have to say to the people? Because I've been seeing some stirs online that are saying that he's going to come back and cost Seth's match.
No.
Fully agree.
Not his story. It's not a story.
Zero shot of that happening. I thought it was
his cousin is
absurd.
literally going after the title that he considers his.
Yeah.
What? That's the story.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's more likely we get a Jimmy return than a Roman return. I like the idea of if Tonga Loa gets involved, then Jimmy comes out to even the odds because they took Jimmy out. His own little brother, along with Tama Tonga, took out Jimmy. And now this could be an opportunity. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen because my official prediction is going to be along with you. I think the Bloodline probably comes out on top. I think it's going to go with Jacob Fatu pinning Randy Orton.
Oh. Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I was thinking potentially that Fatu pins KO.
I can see that too.
Because they're kind of like similar.
I think they set up a feud with Fatu and whoever he pins.
Agreed. And I could see that being KO.
Yeah, totally. I could see it being either one.
Because that would be insane. A KO and Jacob Fatu feud. Woo.
That would go crazy.
Sign me up for that.
Seriously,
Do you
man.
think... So, I'm trying to figure out how this match is going to go down because I'm thinking... There's definitely going to be some outside shenanigans. Do you think the Bloodline, since it's happening a lot, do you think they're going to introduce a new member at all?
No, I think this version of the Bloodline is potentially done. But I could be
I agree.
wrong. I could be wrong, but I think this version of the Bloodline is potentially done. I think, yeah, that's just what I think. I think this version of the Bloodline is done.
I agree. I can't imagine. At the most, they'll add one more, but I can't imagine them just like keep on adding people. It's got to stop at some point. You know what I mean? So I think like right now, at least the Bloodline, it feels like they're kind of recreating.
The other thing too with me is I'm just like that debut of Jacob Fatu. Who's gonna debut for the Bloodline after that and look as strong as Jacob Fatu?
There's only one person.
Who, Zilla? Yeah, I guess like Zilla, but it's like at that point it's like
Zilla's not joining them.
Bro, that's what I mean. Like at that point it feels like Zilla would join the other squad. Like you would need.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it feels like that version, that side. If we have another debut, I think it's going to be for the OG Bloodline with Roman. I think Solo's version of the Bloodline is done. After that really felt like the last piece of this new Bloodline, didn't it? Like that really, like especially with that debut, the way that he took out Cody, like.
And you kind of, if you look at it like the way that Roman's Bloodline was going, you have Roman who's the head of the table, so Solo is now the head of the table. Tama's the right-hand man now, and then you have Jacob Fatu who's going to be like the enforcer that Solo Sikoa was. So it's basically like, I kind of feel like Solo's team is done. Now we need someone for Roman's team. And I think that's not going to happen for a little while because I think there's a few things that need to happen before we get to that point. Number one, Roman has to come back. Number two, Jimmy and Jay need to reunite. Number three, Roman and the Usos all need to reunite. And then number four,
a lot needs to happen, honestly.
I know, and it's going to be awesome because it's going to take a long time, probably longer than people want.
Also, let's give a gold star once again to the greatest of all time, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is doing so much for this storyline.
Dude, that segment with Punk was really good.
So many little layers. I mean, when they chant "We want Roman," he's in tears. When Solo says Roman's not coming back, he looks genuinely shocked, and everything that's happening, he tells CM Punk, I needed that hug. And we're like, did he need that because it's just been a long time since he's seen CM Punk? Do we need that because of the Bloodline stuff? I mean, he tells Punk, take me with you.
That was, dude, I screamed when he said that.
Dude,
it was
unreal.
Best, dude. I almost cried.
Heyman is doing so much for this storyline, just through his mannerisms and the emotion he's showing. He's so good, man. And God, when Roman returns, we need just a big embrace between Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's no reason that Heyman would not side with Reigns at this point.
Oh, he's going straight to Roman.
Like it's like that would be the ultimate double cross if Heyman then sides with Solo, turns on Roman.
I mean, that would be interesting.
I mean, it might happen, but that might just be too evil. But if Heyman's gonna be the one, Heyman would be the one to do that too. So.
Heyman is evil, man.
But. God, that's what it might just be too much at that point, though. You're just like, he inducted Heyman into the Hall of Fame. That feels like something you can't break now. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I don't know. But anyway, so we're both taking the Bloodline to get a win. Do you think Jacob Fatu's getting the pin as well?
I think. I don't.
You think Solo pins Cody?
I think Solo needs a pin.
I think that's probably a good call.
I think it could be a situation of
Solo
Jacob
might pin
Fatu kind of closes out the match, and then he's like, "Here, Tribal Chief, you get the pin," and then Solo kind of comes in and pins him. Because like, as much as I want a Jacob Fatu pin, Solo needs a pin, and Solo needs to look strong in this. So I think Solo's going to get the pin, and solo pinning any one of those three guys is going to do a lot for him. Who do you think gets the pin?
Yeah, I think Fatu, just to debut him strong, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it's a toss-up for me. Maybe Solo. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's Solo. I don't know. I just have a feeling, just based off that debut, that they want to keep him super strong. But you're right. Like, Solo does need a pin, and it makes more sense, especially if they want to lead to him versus Cody at SummerSlam, which seems like might be the plan.
Yeah, it seems like the way they're going. Although, all I will say about Cody and Randy did look at Cody's title when he helped him
100%. 100%.
So it's going to be interesting to see.
I think they're playing the long game with that at this point.
Yeah, probably. So let's move on to Sami Zayn, the hometown hero, taking on Bron Breakker for the IC title. We thought it was going to be a triple threat match. Nada. Bron Breakker for Sami Zayn. Dillon, is Bron Breakker going to crush the hearts of every Canadian in that arena?
The hearts of every Canadian in that arena are unfortunately going to be crushed. Not for the entire night, though. We'll address it. But I think Bron Breakker is going to beat Sami Zayn. And I think he's going to become the new Intercontinental Champion. And I just kind of sold myself on this today. If it doesn't happen, then I'm almost positive he beats him at SummerSlam. But I think it happens.
Okay.
I think Bron Breakker wins. And I think Sami, I don't know what it is. I don't know how. I don't know how, but Bron Breakker's winning.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, definitely wouldn't surprise me because I think everyone can agree Bron Breakker's taking that title off of Sami. It's just a matter of when and where. I'm going to take Sami. I just think that he's going to lose it at SummerSlam.
That's a fair call.
Because I'm not quite sure what Sami's going to do at SummerSlam if he doesn't have the IC title. Maybe get involved with this Bloodline story, but outside of that, it's kind of like what's next for Sami. So, I'm going to take Sami, excuse me, because I think it's going to be a really good match. Like, we've been seeing Sami kind of take on a lot of these larger than life and these massive dudes, and he's been holding his own in the ring. So, I think you get him. Maybe it's controversial. Maybe it's not necessarily a clean loss to Bron. Maybe Bron gets a little too ahead of himself and tries to just spear him, and then Sami's one step ahead of him, and then he goes and demands a rematch at SummerSlam, and then he takes it off of him at SummerSlam. But I'm taking Sami. Dillon's taking Bron. We have a rare disagreement here, which is pretty rare for us on predictions because we think alike. So you have to enjoy them while you got them. So, anything else you want to add on that onto that match before we move on?
Not really. There's something more I want to add later, but.
All right, so let's move on then to the Men's World Heavyweight Championship. You have your champion, El Champion, Damian Priest, defending against Seth freaking Rollins. Dillon, how's this match going down?
So they threw in a very fun stipulation to this match. If Seth Rollins loses, he can never challenge Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship ever again. But if Seth Rollins wins, then Damian Priest must leave the Judgment Day. So that is an interesting stipulation.
It's a fun stipulation.
Yeah, definitely fun. It makes it a lot less predictable, I would say, too, because then you throw in the idea of, ooh, this could be a way to get Damian out of the Judgment Day. You know what I mean? Maybe the Judgment Day tries to help Damian win, and then they accidentally make him lose, and then they're the reason he has to leave the Judgment Day. Maybe Damian, maybe Finn turns on him and makes him lose, and then he is out of the Judgment Day on purpose. Who knows? But my heart, my gut tells me Damian. is gonna keep the title here. Gonna keep it. But the stipulation makes it very interesting. And, yeah, it just makes it really interesting, honestly. Especially with this
definitely throws
Liv
the
Morgan
odds
thing going on.
better in him losing.
Yeah, because especially
Makes
you
second
have
guess it a little bit.
you have Finn potentially macking on Liv Morgan, it seems. So who knows what's going on? And Liv Morgan and Damian's not about that. So who knows? But Finn and JD just became the World Tag Team Champions over on Raw because Liv Morgan convinced R-Truth to give them a tag team title match. And
that was hilarious.
I'm okay.
By the way.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. But yeah, I think they just got to do the right thing with it. You know what I mean? They got to make this the right call. And yeah, I'm happy with and just to say real quick, JD, happy for him. Happy for JD McDonough. He deserves it. He's been getting his ass kicked so hard for so long. So it's finally kind of paid off. And he's got a title now, which is very cool. So good for him. But with that being said, yeah, I think Damian is going to win. And then I think he might leave the Judgment Day on his own the next day. And go, I don't need you anyway. I'll leave regardless.
I mean,
we'll see, though.
That's definitely interesting because I fully agree. I think that Priest is walking out of there as your World Heavyweight Champion because Gunther's taking that title off of whoever's holding it at SummerSlam, and they're not going to put the title on Seth for him to hold it for a month. So it's just not going to happen. I could potentially see the Judgment Day getting involved. I think that's definitely probably has a pretty high chance of happening. I could see, like we said, I think we talked about it last week, maybe the Wyatt Six gets involved. Sets up maybe some sort of Wyatt Six versus Seth situation for SummerSlam. I could see CM Punk getting involved, maybe costing Seth, like I said last week. But I'm definitely taking Priest. I actually like the idea of him leaving the Judgment Day the next day or 2 days later on Monday Night Raw, and then because that could also set up for when he loses at SummerSlam, he doesn't have the Judgment Day there, and then that could potentially be like, does he need the Judgment Day? And then especially when you have Rhea come back, maybe Liv kind of takes her place, maybe Dom is now the leader of the Judgment Day. There's a lot of fun things that they can do with that story moving forward. So I'm definitely really excited for that because I like that story's really been very intriguing lately, and I just want to give it the recognition that it deserves because they've been killing it on Monday Night Raw. With
Yeah,
it
feels like all I'm saying is that it could end up to Finn and JD leaving with Liv and forming their own little group with Liv. And then when Rhea comes back, Damian and Dom have a little group with Rhea. Just saying.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Because Finn's been the main one who's been like, yo, Liv is all right. She's fine.
Yeah. And they've been sneaking off.
Yeah, they have.
They've been sneaking off lately.
Yeah, we're both picking Damian, though, to remain El Campeon, as he says.
Fully agree. So, let's move on, because we've got some Money in the Bank ladder matches to discuss. So, pull back the curtain a little bit. We're recording this prior to the Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, and then we obviously have SmackDown coming up this week. So we don't have the full field set for Money in the Bank, but I don't necessarily think that it matters too much. So we'll just run through really quick the qualifying matches that are still yet to come. So on this week's episode of SmackDown, which for you guys watching and listening, it was this past episode of SmackDown, we have Candice LeRae versus Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton. Dylan, I think we can agree that we think Tiffany's going to walk out of there qualified, right?
Correct.
We've got Naomi versus Blair Davenport versus Indy Hartwell. I think Blair's going to qualify for that. What about you?
Yeah, Blair. Sorry, I had to think
and then
about it. But yeah, Blair.
We've got LA Knight, versus Santos Escobar versus Logan Paul. I think we all can agree that it's probably going to be Santos in that match.
Correct.
And then we'll run through a Monday Night Raw tonight, or if you're listening to this after this past episode of Monday Night Raw, because we've got Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre versus Ilya Dragunov. Holy hell, this is going to be a hard-hitting affair.
Dude, what a match this is going to be.
Who do you think qualifies?
Ilya.
Fully agree. God, this match is going to be so awesome. And then on the women's side, we have Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark versus Ivy Nile. Who do you think?
I got Ivy Nile.
Ivy Nile, okay. I'm going to take Zoe Stark. I think Dakota Kai's interesting, but I think they kind of already got their damage control member in there. So I don't think that they're necessarily are going to have anyone else, because if they were going to do anything like that, they would have had kind of just like every member of damage control in the match, which would have been insane. But so let's discuss the women's Money in the Bank ladder match first, because you've got Io Sky versus Chelsea Green versus Lyra Valkyria versus some form of those women and those matches and those outcomes that we don't know yet. We only know half of the field, but we're going to give you the predictions anyway, because I think we both potentially could agree. Is it Tiffany time? Is Tiffany Stratton walking away with this?
We're both picking Tiffy, and if we're wrong and then this comes out and then she's not even in the match, that'll suck.
That would suck hard.
That would suck so hard. Because it's very possible that like Jade is in the match or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's very possible it's not, but it's got to be Tiffy. All I can picture is that pink briefcase. Make it happen.
I agree.
Tiffy in the bank,
dude. Let's get them customized briefcases from now on,
dude. I
Let's
mean,
do it.
they are sitting on a gold mine in merch with the Barbie pink briefcase, like. And I think they know it. They're good. Like, literally, they might put it on her for that reason alone, on how much money they would literally just make on making the Barbie pink briefcases. Yeah. I would probably buy one for my girlfriend. Like, she would probably think it's so cool. Like, oh my god, it's Tiffy in the bank time.
I'll say,
but if not,
let's
if
throw
she's
it out
not
there.
in the match,
She's not in the match. Chelsea Green.
Oh, God, as much as I want Chelsea Green, if she's not in the match, I'm going to go with Lyra.
Okay. I think if it's not Tiffany, it's Chelsea Green.
That would also be sick. Chelsea would be so sick, too.
I'm feeling pretty confident about that, because it just...
Did you see her tweet? Chelsea said that she's going to, when she wins Money in the Bank, she's going to make a petition to bring back the Divas title.
I did. She's been saying that for a while, that she's wanted to bring that title back. I saw someone tweet that I thought was pretty funny, and I apologize because I don't know who it was, but it was someone random. And they were like, what if Chelsea Green tries to cash in on the Divas Championship? And then they just like give her the title and kind of make it like
it's
a
just
mid-card
vacant.
title.
Yeah. So they're just like, oh, I guess it's just yours. That would be pretty awesome.
That would be sick as hell. I'm totally for that.
Yeah, I'm for that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to surprise a lot of people. I think the Money in the Bank ladder matches have been really good recently. And
I think both these matches are going to go crazy.
Yeah, I think, especially now, I think a lot of them just go out there with something to prove. And I think that they're going to tear this goddamn house down. So let's move on to the men's match, because you've got Andrade versus Jey Uso versus Chad Gable versus Carmelo Hayes versus two empty spots who we don't know yet, although I think, feeling pretty good, it's going to be Santos and Ilya. So, Dillon, does this change anything about, we talked about it last week, we only had Jey Uso who qualified when we recorded last. Now the field's starting to fill out a little more. I think this is really a really interesting field for the men's, because we talked about it before, we always talk about it. The Money in the Bank briefcase is used to elevate wrestlers to that next level, and there's a lot of guys in here who could get elevated with a massive win here. So, Dillon, talk me through this Money in the Bank ladder match for the men's.
Yeah, so I think out of the people who qualified, I think, like you said, Mr. Mello in the Bank is a really fun option. I think Jey Uso is probably the most likely option. like if I had to put my money, but my official prediction is going to be something a little bit off the wall.
I like it.
My official prediction is that Chad Gable is going to get attacked by the Wyatt Six backstage, and he will not be able to compete in the match. And as a form of repayment to the people of Canada and Sami Zayn, due to a controversial finish where he lost his Intercontinental title earlier in the night, he will take Chad Gable's place in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And then he will win the Money in the Bank ladder match. And Sami Zayn, in front of Montreal, Canada, will hold up the Money in the Bank briefcase. He will walk in Intercontinental Champion, and he will walk out Mr. Money in the Bank.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah, that is my official prediction.
That pop would be one of probably the loudest pops in recent memory.
Dude, make it happen.
Hey, man, I'm all here for it. I didn't really think about it because I was too pumped that Chad Gable was in the match, but I think it may not even make sense if he doesn't get attacked.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? It's like, wouldn't they just attack him before the match? Like, it feels like that's the thing that would happen. Hopefully it doesn't, because I want Chad Gable in this match. But I'm going to stick with my gut here. I'm going to take Carmelo Hayes. I think Jay gets attacked by the Bloodline. I think that if Sami Zayn is in the match, Sami Zayn's obviously going to win. I'm just going to move under the assumption that he's not in the match. And therefore, out of everybody else in the field, it's time for Carmelo Hayes to get that big win, to walk out of there, mellow in the bank. And I think there's a lot they can do with it post Money in the Bank, too. I think this would help elevate him even farther, because now he's kind of like still trying to establish himself. And I think them putting the Money in the Bank briefcase on him will kind of get the stamp of approval. Like, this is like a top tier guy that everyone needs to be worried about. And the guy's going to dominate for many years to come. So I think what better way to kickstart that than to throw the Money in the Bank briefcase on Carmelo Hayes, give him a successful cash-in later down the line. And, I mean, who knows? Hopefully, I don't know. This, like, I think Sami winning would be super sick, and I think that would do a lot for him. And if he loses, especially if he loses the IC title, then it would be a little odd to not throw him in the match, because then it's like, what's next? Maybe he'll get a rematch against Bron, but he's not going to win that. So I think, like you said, it's a good way to sort of repay Sami Zayn if he loses the IC title, throw him in this match. So you're taking Sami Zayn. Do you want to throw anybody else out there who's actually involved in the match right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that person is going to be... Sorry, let me double check in my head who's in the match. Jay, Andrade, Carmelo. Who's the fourth that's confirmed?
Master Gable, of course.
Master Gable. Yeah, I'm gonna go Jay. I'm gonna go Jey Uso. I'm gonna go main event Jay. It just seems like the safe bet, and I don't know. Like, all right. So this is my big thing. I'm just like, I don't know who else in the match they trust to be a main event guy right now. Not that I'm saying I don't trust anybody. I'm just trying to think of who they do trust to be a main event guy. And, yeah, to me, in my head, that's Jay.
It's definitely the biggest threat in this match.
Yeah, so I would go with Jay, but I'm serious when I say I really, really think there's a really good chance that Gable gets taken out and replaced by Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And it would make sense, too, because of their recent feud.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know, you have the Wyatt Six targeting Gable. Obviously, they had that, they beat the hell out of him when they debuted, and then the following, I guess it was a week or two after that, I think it was a week, Gable came out during his match and was like, "You can't kill Gable." That was a great little promo that he had walking down to the ring, and then obviously member of the Wyatt Six kind of came up after him after he won the triple threat match, which I was surprised by. I thought, I think we both thought that Big Bronson Reed was going to win that match.
Yeah.
He didn't. Chad Gable won. I think it would make a lot of sense, and it would make the most sense for him to get attacked and not make it into the Money in the Bank match, because that could set up stuff for him down the line at SummerSlam, especially because he's not with the Alpha Academy anymore. And then the Creeds kind of were like, "Yo, what's up, Gable?" backstage. They were kind of had a little interaction. So maybe that's kind of hinting us towards Gable and the Creeds kind of forming a little faction, whatever their faction could be, potentially versus the Wyatt Six, maybe at SummerSlam. But that's a conversation for another day. Dylan, any last bold predictions for Money in the Bank before we wrap this bad boy up?
I don't think it's that bold of a prediction, but I think we're just going to get another crazy Wyatt Six thing.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think Wyatt Six is getting involved.
I think more than just, like, attacking Gable or something. I think they're going to have some sort of "we're here" moment.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any chance that they could potentially get involved in the men's Money in the Bank match?
Absolutely. There's absolutely a chance.
Kind of let's go out. They just kick the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, there's a chance that they could take out Gable and then Uncle Howdy replaces Gable. You never
Maybe
know.
Uncle Howdy in the bank.
Uncle Money in the Uncle Howdy. Yeah. Would be Uncle in the bank, right? Mr. Uncle in the bank.
Mr. Uncle in the bank. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Follow us on all of our socials at The Burnt Hammer on X, and we are at The Burning Hammer on everything else. You can listen to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. You can watch us on YouTube at The Burning Hammer. Do all of that good stuff. With that being said, I'm Mark Izzo. He is Dillon O'Brien, and this has been another episode of The Burning Hammer podcast. We'll see you next week.
I can slap a tornado.